will see your life shift. You will start to feel more in control, and you will have more of those moments and those mornings where you wake up in gratitude and happiness, and you can maintain that longer. Some days you wake up and you instantly go into a panic attack, instant anxiety, thoughts are racing. There seems like there's nothing you can do, and it's just kind of like you woke up there. And some days you wake up without having to do anything. You're automatically grateful, full of gratitude. There was nothing you had to do to get there. You just automatically woke up in this half glass full kind of mentality. So what's up? What's the difference between those 2 days? Are you bipolar, or is there actually something deeper going on that you can get in control of if you just knew the formula there? Why is it that we can live the same life day in, day out, but on certain days we wake up in one energy and in other days we wake up in complete opposite energy? What's going on there? I wanted to make this video because this is something that has happened to me a lot, and it was one of those things that was making me feel crazy because it wasn't just, a week that was weird. It would be every single day was completely different, and I felt like I was on a seesaw of emotions and riding this weird roller coaster that I didn't know what ticket I bought that day, kind of thing. Eventually you get sick of riding the ride. You want to stop and analyze and be like, okay, well, what's actually going on? I got sick of feeling like I didn't know how I was going to be waking up the next day, or I didn't want to be so emotionally fragile where I couldn't maintain the things I was learning around personal development. So when I actually sat down and I reflected on what was going on in those 2 days that made them so different, why did one day seem like such a high? I was riding the gratitude train and then the next day I would be completely down, depressed, sad, feeling like the world is against me, so much doubt. What was going on there? Today, I'm going to break this down for you because I know I'm not alone in this. Also, this is not the video I was planning on making this week. By the way, I had a whole different video planned around identity and stepping into your next level self by 2025. And Source was like, no, this is the video that you're going to be making. So I'm bringing this to you from a very humble place and a place of, I feel like there's a collective consciousness around this. And so I know I'm not alone, you're not alone, and I want to break this down so you can get out of this and not have to deal with this anymore. But keep in mind, like anything else, this is a muscle that you build. It's just important to know that this is something that does take a little bit of time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So be kind to yourself, give yourself grace, allow yourself to learn this in your own time. But I will tell you, what I've been seeing in my own life is if you can stay consistent with this on a daily basis of prioritizing, coming back to this knowing every chance that you can, you will see your life shift. You will start to feel more in control, and you will have more of those moments and those mornings where you wake up in gratitude and happiness, and you can maintain that longer. So stay with me through the end of the video because we're really going to break this down. Okay, so when I took a step back and I reflected on all of this, the first thing that it really showed me is that momentum is nothing to play with. In fact, it's a very powerful thing. If you've ever listened to Abraham Hicks, they talk about this idea of, I think they say a car, but I also feel like they say a boulder. They talk about something heavy going down a hill and how that represents anxiety, fear, worry, doubt, any undesirable emotion. Basically, you view it as a large boulder or a car getting pushed down a San Francisco style hill, like a 90-degree angle hill. That boulder or that car or whatever is rolling down it so fast because it's got all this momentum, it's got all this speed, it's already going. There's nothing you can do to jump in the way of it to try to prevent that boulder or car from stopping, because basically the momentum is going so fast and it's got too much energy behind it that all you can do in that moment is let it roll. Don't try to get in the way of it, because when you do, you get hit. All you can do when the momentum is so heavy on those undesirable emotions is just let them roll, but let them roll with a consciousness saying, oh, I have awareness. I see that's happening. I accept and I own that that's the feelings that are coming up for me. Even though they're undesirable, I can accept them and I can sit with them and I can say, okay, that's how I'm feeling, and pause. There's no need to judge it. There's no need to wish it was different. You just sit with it. And that's something I didn't understand for a long time, is this idea of sitting with the emotions. I thought awareness was saying, Okay, but I get that, and I'm ready for it to be different. I'm ready for it to be different. I did not realize that by saying it like that, it was me bypassing the emotion and not fully giving it its stage time that it needed for me to move through it. The cool thing is it only takes about 90 seconds or so for an emotion to fully run through the body. So if you can sit with it for 90 seconds and allow it to process through, move through, it will lose its power and its grip over you. What's cool about life, in a way, I know this doesn't always seem exciting, but when you're in the process of growing and learning through a specific lesson, life is going to give you multiple opportunities to practice, to try out your knowledge and your skills and your growth on that specific lesson. So maybe the first couple times it's popping up so that you eventually have awareness of what's even going on. So the first couple times, maybe you don't even know what's going on. You just know that there's a disturbance in your life and it's feeling really frustrating and life just isn't how you want it to be. And maybe the next time from there, it's, oh, I actually see what's going on. I don't know what to do about it, but I do have a new awareness now around it. I have new data. And then the next time it's, oh, let me try to put that into practice, the learnings I've got. But because it's brand new to you, you've never learned this before, you've never done it in this way before, it's not going to be perfect. It's a brand new skill that you're trying out. Don't let people fool you. Gratitude is a skill. Feeling happy and abundant is a skill. Trusting the universe and the process and your life is a skill. These are muscles that you have to build, aka repetition, consistency with the thing that you're learning. I used to tell my clients all the time around things that they thought were so quote unquote simple, like self-love. Like that's a skill that you build. That's not something that just we're born knowing what to do with it, even though it sounds so simple and so obvious. It's really not. It's a key foundation to our life. Things that we're talking about here are the foundation to living well. So take them serious and give yourself grace as you're learning them. So anyways, the next couple times, right, you're going to get an opportunity to try out the awareness that you have. And then after you get going a couple times, then before you know it, you're not even going to need the car, the boulder to go down the hill. You're going to be able to catch it before it even gets to the tipping point. You're going to have so much awareness that you can prevent it from getting to that point. And now you're building new momentum in an opposite direction. See, something I'm learning about anxiety and undesirable emotions is that trying to stop them while experiencing them is almost impossible, if not fully impossible. The key is to get out ahead of them. And the way you do that is through the consistent actions that you take on a regular basis all the time. This is why things like meditation and breath work, for example, are very powerful and so helpful. But you're not just doing them for the very next moment you're about to have. Yes, you can use them for that. You can use them as a quick, oh my gosh, I need to breathe right now because I'm about to go on stage or whatever. But the true reason I believe that we practice those tools is because it's practice for life. We're practicing how to live our life better through those techniques and those tools. And so the way that they're the most effective is if you can practice them on a daily basis, because that's going to build your momentum of a calm being and somebody who doesn't react so much to their emotions, but actually pauses before making a decision. To be really honest, I didn't take meditation, for example, seriously until my emotions were so unstable. I felt completely out of control. I was having panic attacks left and right. I wasn't sleeping. My thoughts were racing like crazy, and that was happening more than it wasn't. And I finally got to a point where I felt like I couldn't keep that cycle going. I knew that this idea of trying to rush and worry and stress all the time had only taken me to more of that. And I realized that the pain of experiencing more of that was worse than the uncomfortability of choosing to stop doing that as my normal reaction. Change is uncomfortable, but what I'm noticing is that truly the main growth that we experience in our life and the big leveling up, it never happens when we're comfortable, right? When we're comfortable and life is smooth sailing, and those are beautiful times too, but that's not when we're reaching the peak of the potential of who we are and can be in this world. We experience the best version of what we're capable of being in life when there's some adversity, when we have to have some grit to get through, to push through the tough times and still show up anyways. Those are the moments where we learn the most about ourselves. So So I know it's annoying now, but if you can find some gratitude for this moment that you may be in or those hard times you've had, those are the things that have built you. Those are the times that have shown you what you're capable of and have given you the evidence that you don't even know you're leaning on to keep moving forward. Okay, so we know all of that. So now let's dive into the formulas. What I did, and this is something I want you to do for your own self, because this might look a little different for you depending, right, on your life, your situation, what's going on in your world. So I understand this idea of how you set yourself up in the evenings is going to impact how you wake up in the mornings. I knew that I wasn't just waking up for no reason, feeling anxious and full of worry and racing thoughts. There had to have been something the day before that was more of the cause, that was tipping the domino for them. I first had to sit with what was even going on. I knew that when I woke up, I felt extremely tired, so I wasn't sleeping very great. I knew that my thoughts were racing and I was overthinking. And there were specific fears that were replaying in my head, and I was trying to tune them out or affirmation over them instead of just acknowledging what they were. I had to take a step back and look at them. So for me, the biggest thing was scarcity mindset. I had a huge fear of not having enough money, just kind of lack in general. And so when I was looking at that, I was like, well, when does that come up the most for me? And the pattern I found was that it oftentimes happened when I knew I didn't show up as fully for myself as I could have. So for example, I'm a Gemini, so my brain has two brains. I love researching, learning. Like, I'm proudly a forever student because it fulfills my soul. It's so fun for me. But there comes a point where we can research ourselves to death. I really believe that your subconscious knows when you are not taking action, and your research has become procrastination. It's just, we know this internally, we know it. What I didn't realize is that that was actually me subconsciously telling myself I didn't believe in myself. But consciously, I was saying, "Ooh, I don't want to do it," or "That seems hard," or "I'd rather do this thing. I'm more passionate about learning and researching, and I want to get all the info first before I take action." It's not that I'm not going to take action. I just need more information first. And do you kind of see how that's me holding off on my greatness in a way? How many times have maybe you done that? Delaying action with perfectionism instead of just taking messy action and apologizing later, fixing it later, learning as you go. What I'm finding is that as I've taken steps, and even if they're really small steps, I'm talking like a small little post on social media, what's happening is I'm getting clarity as I'm taking steps. Something that Tony Robbins talks about is this idea of happiness is actually progress towards the goal. Happiness is not the fulfillment of the goal. True happiness, like, yeah, that feels really good, but that is not lasting. What is lasting fulfillment, happiness, is the sense of forward progression. Like, we're making forward momentum in our life towards something that we're proud of, excited about, we believe in. It's our gifts coming to life. So when you're not even taking small steps because you're reasoning with yourself that you need to have more information or you need to get things perfect and organized better or whatever it is before you can take that action, that's you suppressing your gifts. That's you suppressing your belief in yourself and shutting yourself down. Because even if the small steps don't really fully turn into anything, or they end up rerouting you, you end up going a whole different direction than where you thought you were going to go. It's amazing to watch the physiology change within yourself. You feel so good, so empowered and confident because you're like, yeah, like I freaking took steps. I didn't 100% know what's going to happen. I don't even know if it's going to turn into anything, but it felt really good. And I learned that actually it's not as hard as I thought it was. And actually I know more than I think I do. And actually I have more information now because I got clarity from trying the thing. And now I know ways I don't want to do it, or I know ways that I do want to do it. I will tell you, since starting this YouTube channel again, because I started it, I think a few years ago, and I kind of just let it go. I was kind of just half-assed putting stuff on, not really thinking about it. And now that I'm actually making consistent videos every single week, they're a bajillion times better than they used to be, all because of this consistent action that I'm taking and showing up in the little tiny steps with what I can fit in and make happen in my day-to-day life. So it's kind of interesting to take a pause and reflect and ask yourself, what was a domino that caused that undesirable emotion that was coming up for me that I feel like it's taking over my life? Because you find that it comes down to a core belief within yourself that was sitting under that the whole time. And once you face it, you look at it and you say, wow, I didn't realize all of this was me just not believing in myself. Then you can actually do something with that and you can feel more empowered. And that internal level up will allow you to stop the loop that you've been feeling stuck in. So I hope you can kind of see what I did there. I realized that anxiety was the effect, not the cause. Overthinking and the racing thoughts and the lack of sleep was because previously I didn't show up great how I wanted to, how I really could have. And I was lying to myself and reasoning with myself and pretending that I was fine when I wasn't. When I dug deeper to ask, well, what was I worried about? What was I so nervous about? And all this fear popped up and scarcity mindset popped up. It was simply because I was delaying taking action. I was trying to be perfect. But if I could just take a couple steps and do the hard thing of taking messy action, even though it's not at the level that I want it to be in my mind, that small action creates a sense of confidence and empowerment and allows you to shift out of that lower vibration, undesirable emotion that you feel is controlling you versus you being able to be the one in control. It's just a little bit of working backwards, but you can do this in your own life too, and realize that the disempowering states that we can get ourselves in, even if it feels like you've been stuck in that state forever and it's a loop that is just quote unquote who you are, you can get out of it. I promise you, you can, because it's all about the questions you ask yourself. This little inner deep diving I did, it took me probably 10 minutes to get to the truth of what was really going on. It really didn't take that much. It just took some pen to paper, me sitting with myself and looking at it. And what's cool is the very next day I slept so much better and I showed up in that full sense of gratitude and happiness. And that was the small change. And I realized moving forward, all I need to do now to prevent that from happening is to just take the action I know I need to take and just to show up anyways, because now I have a deeper connection to a why to do that. And this is where the gratitude comes in for the undesirable emotions, where before this felt like a bother and an annoyance where, oh my gosh, I feel just anxious and I don't know why. But because the loop I felt stuck in for so long was hurting so bad to be in, it forced me to do this discovery work and realize that my non-action ended up being the root cause of my anxiety. And so in those moments, even when I still don't want to take the action, I know that if I don't, tomorrow, I'm going to probably be anxious and not the best version of myself that I want to be and know I can be. Now I can't unsee it. And since I had this realization, I have been able to beat anxiety every single time. Or if it does happen to pop up, I can shut it down because I'm able to talk to it different because I understand it more. Anxiety for every person is not just a blanket statement. My anxiety has a specific message for me, just like yours and Susie over there. I really try to take emotions not at face value anymore, but to understand what was the root cause. And I even do that with the happy emotions. So let's move to the other side of the scale here. Okay, so if there was a formula for the undesirable anxiety that I was feeling, there must be a formula for happiness, right? And the reason I want to know that is because I want to be able to repeat it. I don't want to just hope that happiness is going to show up again. I want to be in control of designing my life. And also it's important for me because after all these years of personal development work, I'm very aware that gratitude is a super emotion. Gratitude, living in a state of abundance, that is what brings everything that you desire to you. So I want that to be my autopilot. I want that to be the bigger momentum going on in my world. It's interesting because a lot of times we don't even realize how comfortable we can get in our own misery and victim mindset. Sometimes it feels good to not do anything or to feel like there's nothing you can do or to feel stuck somewhere because that's where you've been for so long that there's comfort in that. And that was me for a lot of years. So I get it, but at some point, if you're somebody who really is destined for greatness and there's big things that you want to do in this world, I don't think that your higher self is going to allow you to stay feeling complacent there. I think internally there's going to be a bit of a push-pull going on, this inner conflict feeling that's going to have you asking bigger questions, feeling like, oh, I can't sit here anymore. I have to get out because that's not the life that you're meant to live. The happiness formula that I came up with, I talked about it briefly, but I want to touch on it deeper because there is so much more to this idea of action alleviates anxiety. Happiness really is found in those moments where we feel like we've shown up for our life, where we got the call for something and we answered. It doesn't have to mean that you changed and saved the world in a moment, but what it means is that in the moment with the information that you had, you took as big of a step as you felt you could take. The cool part is that's all you have to do every single day. I was listening to this audiobook from Neville Goddard and he talks about being more present in our day-to-day life and how that's the most powerful thing we can do, because when we are present in our life, that means that we're trusting the process, we're trusting source, and AKA trusting yourself, because you are the source of everything in your life. It's the ultimate self-belief practice. And I didn't even realize that till I heard that. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. So I share that here because I really believe that if you can take small action on whatever steps you have, whatever clarity you have in front of you, that is you being fully present in your life. That is you trusting in something bigger than you and releasing control. You're saying, I don't know necessarily where this is going to go or how this is even going to form anything, but this is a step I'm being given. I'm the vessel. I trust, I surrender. Source, take me where you need me to go. It sounds so simple, but really, I mean, mastery of this is key in life. There's a reason that if you listen to enough personal development books and things, it will always take you back to that concept of gratitude, presence, and it is so layered. I'm not gonna lie, when I started learning this stuff and being like, okay, so now I'm gonna start taking action, even though I don't want to do the thing, I know it's gonna help me alleviate the anxiety. I was taking steps a little bit grumpy, not in the best mood, but what I noticed is that my mood shifted because, like I said before, progress towards the goal is what equals happiness, not the goal itself, funny enough. So when you do more of this on a consistent basis, what happens is it stops being this stressful thing and it becomes easier because it starts to become part of who you are. Before you know it, your default becomes a happier state. You become somebody who lives more in the possibility space, somebody who trusts and says, okay, I'm taking these steps because I know that this is what's good for me. And then what starts to happen is some of that sense of control starts to loosen up. That tight grip that you have on your experiences starts to let go. And it's so freeing because all of a sudden the weight kind of lifts off the shoulders and you realize I don't have to be responsible for the how of any of this. I'm just supposed to move. And what I've noticed is it starts to become more fun. Your life becomes your prayer. So to sum up the happiness formula, whatever step you have in front of you, take it. It doesn't matter how big or small. Whatever step is in front of you is what you're meant to have. And then I promise you the clarity will come from there and you'll continuously get your next step, your next step, your next step. And as you continue to move and put one foot in front of the other, this calming sense of reassurance will wash over you because you get a feeling like you're being guided. You're not alone. There's a plan for you. You'll start to have a sense of pride in yourself because you'll start to wake up as somebody who feels like they show up for their life. And really, it's all about doing that every day. Just doing a little bit, 100%. I love you.